Praise Yahweh, everyone. This is Bishop Bowser here. And today I just wanted to talk to you about fear. You know, one of the things that I thought about when I thought about fear is what I want to say to believers is, you know how they say, does a cat have your tongue? I want to say, does fear have your tongue? And what I mean by that is that when they say, does a cat have your tongue? They're basically saying, you know, you're silent, you're not speaking out. When you should be saying something, you're not saying something. And so I just want to say, does fear have your tongue? You know, when we should be speaking out, we should be fighting for our rights. We should be actively engaged in what's happening with the church. The persecution is coming from the government and from society as a whole, and the anti-Christ spirit that is moving, that's trying to keep the church shut down. So one of the things that I thought about when I looked at this is like, why aren't the believers speaking out? Why aren't they not saying anything? And then the thought came to my mind is that because they just as afraid as the world is, right? They don't want the church to open up. They want to stay home and stay safe, right? And so, you know, and look, you know, fear is a healthy thing. And when you talk about fear, fear is a good thing because it helps us to survive, right? Without fear, we walk into traffic. Without fear, you'll walk off a building. Without fear, you'll pick up something poisonous and just drink it. Without fear, you'll walk into a room with people with COVID-19, coughing all over the place and don't have no mask, just going in and sniff it all in, right? If you didn't have fear. So fear is a healthy thing to have because it keeps us from doing stupid and crazy things. And we all have fear, right? We, you know, afraid of snakes, you know, afraid of heights, afraid of swimming, afraid of water, whatever. People are afraid of different things, and we understand that, and we all have to overcome some kind of fear. I think the greatest fear that people have is the fear of death, right? People are afraid of dying, and that's why COVID-19 have people, you know. But you got to understand, brothers and sisters, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And that's what overcomes fear, is God's love. And He has poured out His love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which He has given us. And so I wanted to tell you that, you know, experiencing fear, you know, now and then is normal. It's a normal part of life, you know, so I ain't talking about that, but I'm talking about living with chronic fear. I'm talking about where it has physically and emotionally debilitated you, right? Crippled you, where you can't do anything. Fear can cause you to doubt your walk with God. Fear can cause you to become faithless, and it can paralyze you, and it can be contagious, spread to your family, spread to other people that know you. It torments the soul. The bottom line is COVID-19 may not kill you, but fear will kill you, right? And so one of the things that you have to do is actually have to acknowledge that fear, confront that fear, and once you confront that fear, you have to get the love of God, the power of God, and live by faith and not by sight. You have to walk the way God has called you to walk, because today things are not going to get better. They're going to get worse with the Antichrist on the scene and the things that he's doing. So we most definitely got to step it up and have more faith. So does fear have your tongue, or like they say, does a cat have your tongue? I want to say, does fear have your tongue? But it's time to speak out. It's time to take a stand. It's time to decide, because I know the greatest fear is death, and Yahshua, He conquered death. So why are you afraid of death? If we die, we go to paradise. We go to be with the Lord, right? We'll have a conscious existence there with Him, unless you're not saved. And if you're not saved, then you need to work on that and get your life together so that you can be ready. But don't fear death, you know. And I know people trying to talk, oh, well, you know, this church, COVID-19 broke out, this pastor died of it, that pastor over there died of it. Well, all kind of people are dying all the time, and not just now, but with the swine flu, the bird flu, same thing. I remember a pastor went and prayed for somebody who had, I don't know what flu it was, but he caught it and died himself, you know. So those kind of things happen, right? But we don't stop living, and we don't stop doing what we have to do. I remember once when an individual, I was working as chaplain at one of the hospitals, and I had to go in and pray for someone that had a contagious infection. And everybody had to wear masks, put on gowns and everything. I didn't even know this person, but they had called me and asked me to pray for him. So I put on all the stuff and went in there and prayed for the person, you know, because it's a part of my call and my ministry and what God has called me to do. So I couldn't be afraid. So, oh, no, I'm not going in there. Something might happen to me. You know, we take risks all the time. When I used to gangbang, I took risks every day of dying. Gangbangers a day, taking risks every day of going to prison, getting killed. You take a risk when you get in your car. You're taking a risk with the cigarettes that you're smoking. You could die of cancer, or the liquor that you're drinking, or the foods that you're eating, and the heart disease that is killing blacks left and right, and folks in general left and right. So there's a lot of things that we can die from. So and we don't want to die. We want to live a long, healthy life, but at the same time, you don't want that to cripple you where you can't do anything. So rise up, believers, and let's stand for God. God bless you.